Hey everybody, I'm doing a video this week. I've been thinking a lot about our strategy and uh, really trying to think hard in terms of um, practical things that we can do that we can are simple enough that we can actually apply in the field without actually having any field time to practice it, and that's challenging. So I felt like it was. I, the more I thought about it, the more I realized, nothing's going to make sense to people until we fully understand the force. And as soon as we understand the force really well, I think we'll be able to coordinate our cuts a lot better and basically stay out of each other's way and give everybody, use each member of our team fully, right? Including the girls, which I don't think has happened a lot in the past. So here's a look at what I want to go over. So the force, how to use it, and how to beat it. And then once we understand that, we'll look at flowing cuts, basically meaning cuts one after the other, flowing into each other, and then some practical points. So as much as this gets a little quite technical, again, I want to boil it down to something where it's like we really don't have much to think about on the field, and it's quite likely that we'll actually be able to pull it off even without time to actually practice it before the game, like actual field time to practice. So yeah, you know what? First of all, I just want to highlight something here. Okay, so here's our field diagram. I've got just us on the field here. This is the disc. These HL stands for handler left, handler right. These various C names are cutters, and I'll explain more later why I have them labeled the way I do. But those are our four cutters. So this is kind of, in my opinion, what we currently do a lot of the time when we get the disc for the first time. And actually, it's not some terrible thing. I think every Frisbee team I've ever played on tended to do this. I'm calling it the mad scramble. So let's say the disc just turned over. The handler picked up the disc here. Everybody, all four cutters on our team do the same thing. They kind of lump together and they all charge as fast as they can towards the handler, looking for that first pass. And this is a huge problem because we're getting in each other's way, we're wearing ourselves out, all cutting every time, and it has a really bad effect. And it really just hit me this week that this is why this happens, of basically cutting our girls out of the equation, because when everybody cuts at the same time, kind of going as fast as they can, the person that's going to get that pass is just basically whoever was fastest. And of course, 90% of the time that's going to be a guy. So the girls rarely get those passes. And so when we all charge down here, let's say that this guy gets the first pass. Let's say he has the disc here now. He's kind of in a rough spot because everybody's crowded around him. He's really jammed up, and these people like literally don't have room to cut to him. They're already by him, right? So we're all jammed up. We're all out of breath because we just did a big cut, and really like we have very limited options at that point, and we're just wearing ourselves out. So that's kind of that's the mad scramble. I think that's kind of what we're doing. So we want to kind of stop that and organize it into sort of flowing one at a time cuts. And doing that eventually will just be instinctual when the team develops a good enough understanding of this and the chemistry and the trust in each other. That'll come naturally, but I'm hoping to give us some steps, some sort of training wheels to sort of make this happen on the field quickly without any actual field time to practice. So okay, so that's what we're doing now, and I am going to get to what I'd like us to do, but before that's going to make any real sense, we need to know that everybody understands what the force is, how it works for us on defense and against us on offense. I have this nifty layer here called the force, and this line indicates which way we're being forced. This would be home, I guess. This would be away. The green indicates the lane. You'll often hear people talk about the lane, which basically means the side of the force you're being given where you can easily throw. and where we're being forced away from, where we can't throw. So that's the force. I'll turn us on again, and I'll turn them on. Turning them on. Oh yeah. Lame joke with nobody here to laugh. All right, so let's put the disc over here with the handler on the left, and I'm going to turn that force layer back on. We're of course white, the other team is blue. So their player is forcing my handler, or our handler, away. So he is being allowed to throw anywhere within the green lane. I can't throw through this handler. I can't throw backhand through him. It's very difficult for me to get a pass off anywhere to the red side, right? So that's what the force is, and that's what the mark is doing, is he's cutting off all options on one side of the field. So he's basically doing half of the defense. He's cutting off this half of the field. It's the rest of the team's job, the rest of the blue team's defender's job, to cut off the other side. So the mark cuts off one side, and everybody else cuts off the other side. And this is what I think at this point we reach what's the most non-understood part of how the force works. Everybody understands how to mark and cut off that side of the field, but I think very few people fully kind of get how to cut off the options in the lane that we're giving them, because it's going to be different depending on where you are in the field. I'm going to turn on something here that hopefully helps explain this. So I'm calling this my before swing options. These are my options if I'm trying to make an upfield pass. The green line over to the handler here indicates that I could dump to the handler. It's almost always possible to swing to the handler. I could do a hammer, or a looping pass around this guy, or he'll cut and take the pass. So these are my sort of upfield options. I can't throw to him because I'm being cut off by my mark. I can't throw to him because I'm being cut off by my mark. And you'll notice actually these two guys are the defenders of these guys. And it's sort of like, might seem strange, like why are these guys not with their mark? And actually, it really is, this is the way you do it. You trust that your mark will not allow himself to be broken, allowing a pass to these two players. And these two players are basically happy to let their marks go onto the wrong side of the field. It's like, great, like, thank you very much for the break. They're going to stand here and catch their wind and wait for them to come back. If they come back into the lane, they'll get more aggressively defensive. Right now, what they're doing is catching their breath and also helping to clog up the lane which we're being allowed. So somebody cuts onto the wrong side of the field for defense, you can get a lot looser with them. You can kind of stand there and catch your breath. You'll be that much faster when they do come back in the lane, and you are clogging up the lane for us, which is also helpful in defending us. I can't throw to this guy because this guy is between the disc and this guy. So those sort of short passes in the lane, you absolutely want to position yourself between the disc and the person you're defending. This is going to be really common. Like, players in the other team generally know that this is the lane, that this is where the handler is looking for a pass, and they will generally stay between the disc and yourself trying to cut off that pass. I've got to move this guy here. I had moved him by accident. That's not where he belongs. Give me 1 second. Here we go. So I can't really throw to this guy either because this guy is so close to him. Now he's behind him. He's not between the disc and him. And the reason being is that somewhere around 3/4 of the way down the field, you want to switch from being in front of your man to being behind your man. There's two reasons for this. One, you really want to cut off that deep option. If you let your guy behind you at this point, he's likely to tear away and long bomb it on top of him, and you won't be able to stop that. It'll float over your head and into his hands. So he's cutting off that option, and it's okay to be behind him generally at that point anyway, because if this guy tries to throw that long of a distance, there's a good chance you'll be able to get in front of him and cut that off. So this is not really an option either for us to throw. So you can see that of our 4 players, I have 0 good options. So they're doing a great job of defending this. I should note too, this guy here, who's just sort of catching his breath while this person is on the wrong side of the force, he'd be very discouraging to throw this. Like he would, if I was this handler, I would feel very nervous to try to throw to this guy anyway, because he's clogging it up. I've got quite a small window to throw through there. So that's how the force works against us. And you know, on the flip side, this is exactly how we should be doing our force against the other team. We should be recognizing which way the mark is forcing their handler, or the person with the disc, and for the short passes within the lane, staying between the disc and our man. For marks that go to the wrong side of the force, let them catch your breath, clog up their lane. Absolutely yell to the handler, no break, no break, no break. Just let them know that you're counting on them to basically do their job and not let them be broken. And if your mark goes long, or sort of 3/4 of the field, really try to stay behind them to discourage the long bomb option. So this is them effectively playing the force against us. Now I do have the option to swing. I always have that option, and that's obviously what I should do here. So I have an after swing options. So let's say that I swung the disc over to this fella, and so now this handler has the disc, and what happens there is their defense, just by swinging the disc across the field, their defense gets all messed up, because what happens is I'm going to adjust the force here so that sort of makes sense. So the force now kind of looks like this, right? Their defense is all messed up. I still can't get over to this guy or this guy because they're on the wrong side of the force, but these two guys, without even having cut yet, they're open because their defenders are on the wrong side of the player, right? I could do a short pass up to them or a longer pass up to them, and that's why swinging is so effective. It puts their players in the wrong position. Yeah, so we definitely want to swing, and we want to be aware of what we're doing. In the real world, what you want to do here is get the flow going. What we're talking about here really is getting a flow happening with our cutters, where as soon as this disc goes into the air, this cutter here would recognize, hey, I'm going to be open here in a second, and he would cut towards the handler, or ideally do a fake away to kind of get this guy off balance and fake to the cut to the handler. And then the moment the disc is in his hand, he like literally doesn't even have time to have a count start. Like within 1-2 counts, he's passed up to handler, this cutter here, sorry. And again, in a perfect world, this second cutter would start cutting up here, so that again, they never have a chance to set up defense, begin a count, really pin this person in, and then just pass up again. So that would be a flow, right? So pass, 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 all in very quick succession, with each person on our team anticipating the next pass. Alright, so what we've looked at so far is the force, how to use it, and how to beat it. So how to use it is the points we talked about, which is actually listed here in the practical application. So how to use the force when we're defending is to always stay between your man and the disc on the force side, or behind when deep. Rest and clog the lane when your man goes to the wrong side of the force. Okay, so hopefully that all makes sense. And the next thing we want to talk about was flowing cuts, and we did explain what I mean by that. Swinging to open ourselves up, anticipating the pass to cut for that second and third passes even before the previous pass is complete. So we're down to our last thing here. So flow training wheels. Guy cutters take first pass, girls take second, and then reset. So guy cutters take first pass, girls take second reset. And that's what my little labels were all about here. So I'm calling this the first pass cutters. So C stands for cutter, 1 stands for first, and then left and right. So what I'm suggesting is that at least for a few games or a couple of games, just while we're getting the hang of this, I want to adjust what we're doing as little as possible, not huge changes that'll mess us up, and also make it almost impossible on field to kind of forget what roles are being played by who. So I'm suggesting that as training wheels for a limited time, we assign first pass cutters and second pass cutters, and suggesting we split those first and second pass cutters by sex. So the guys, I'm suggesting we do the guys as first pass cutters just initially, because I think that's just what we're kind of used to at this point, and then have the girls be the second pass cutters. We can switch that up later on when we get to that point where we've got some good chemistry and synergy going. We can just drop the whole idea of first and second pass cutters altogether. But I think this will make it much more easy, because instead of there being 4 cutters on the field who are all wondering, is it my turn to cut? Where should I cut? Now you just have 2 cutters, 2 first pass cutters and 2 second pass cutters. Second pass cutters would generally try to go a little further down the field and spread out. Sorry, did I say second pass? Yeah, that's what I meant. Second pass cutters would go a little further down the field and spread out. First pass cutters, towards half line or whatever, closer to the handlers and spread out. And then at that point, it's just 2 people to kind of feel out who should go first, who's going to cut in for a second pass if the first pass cutter doesn't get the disc. Hopefully the concept is understood here. So we have first pass cutters, and there's 2 first pass cutters, and that means that this guy might cut for the disc, and if he doesn't get it, he clears out, so this guy cuts in for the disc. So we would designate that these guys would go for the first pass, and once the first pass is complete, the second pass cutters start doing flowing cuts, looking for that second pass. So in terms of practical application, everything we talked about with the force, if you just sort of think about that, maybe take a look at my diagram, pause the video accordingly to sort of really think it through, but it really comes down to 3 scenarios. Stay between the disc and your man on the force side, unless they go deep, where you would get behind them, and then rest and clog the lane when your man goes to the wrong side. So hopefully that's something we can all think about and understand and apply quite well this week. And then in terms of being on offense, we're going to keep doing what we've done with having handlers go out and sub with handlers. So there's always 2 handlers on the field, and then we're going to have 2 of our cutters, our guy cutters this week, who are cutting for the first pass. So they will take turns cutting for the first pass, and then 2 girls who will be sort of flowing in for that second pass, and then we would reset. I really think if we can get this right, it's going to be huge, because we're going to be using all of our players. We're going to be using our girls more than we ever have before. And we've got strong girls. They're more than capable of beating their girl marks. They're more than capable of doing this. But by utilizing every player, we're just going to be a super strong team. The few teams I've seen that really utilize their girls, they dominate. They make the other team just appear to always be 6 steps behind. So I'm excited about it. You guys can email me any questions, and we'll go over this again before the game. Talk to you guys soon.